Hey guys, talk about Node.js today. What is Node.js? And I thought about it. It's not an easy answer to give because Node.js combines a lot of things. At the core of it, it's a programming model. It's the name is confusing. It's Node.js, right? JS meaning JavaScript, and JavaScript is being associated a lot with web and front end, and we'll get into that terminology. But put it simply, Node.js essentially is a way of programming. It's a new kind of outside the box way of programming model. So to kind of understand what that is, what are computers? Computers, to put simply, it's actually computers. If you want to dive into it, there's a lot of different concepts, right? But put it simply, a computer that includes smartphone, tablet, all that stuff, really is a what you have is an input. The computer applies some sort of transformation, and that sounds fancy. It just computer does something with the input and gives you an output. A very simple example, one that we use every day is Facebook, right? When the comments we type into our smartphone, into our computing device, and the computing device, most of the time these days, our smartphone does something to it, right? It applies a transformation to it. So fancy way of saying, it takes a picture, send it to Facebook, so that it is shared among all your friends. So that would be the output. That's all computer is. Input does something, process it, output. So Node.js gives another programming model to the programmers, the people making apps, making web services, making web apps. For these people like you and me, gives them another way of interfacing the computer, giving computer instructions, right? Programming, coding, whatever you want to call it. And the way Node.js does things is our technology people non-blocking. Non-blocking meaning we're not blocking the CPU, but none of that really matters. The key thing to remember is that Node.js does things in parallel. And I'll give you an analogy to make this a little bit easier to understand. So, my favorite lunch place, one of my favorite lunch places, is a sandwich store called Specialties. Here in Seattle, there's a lot of them. I don't know if they're anywhere else. Specialties. And I love their tuna sandwich. And turkey, avocado is also great. All their stuff is great. So anyway, lunchtime, super busy, right? Usually located at one of these. I used to work at Amazon, so there's a Specialties at the street level, with all the office buildings everywhere. Tons of people at lunchtime, right? Walking the door, 20 people waiting in line, right? So let's take this analogy and so the traditional way of programming model will be like this. So 20 people waiting in line. I'll make it easier. 5 people waiting in line, right? I walk in, I'm the 5th person in line. And the traditional way of programming model will be like this. So the first guy goes up to the cashier and says, I want a avocado sandwich, turkey on it, tomato and bacon, all that, right? And he would take out his wallet, pay for the sandwich, and he will wait at the cashier. The cashier would take the order, and he would give it to the people in the back, the cooks, and they would make the sandwich. The cooks make the sandwich, and they would do their thing and wrap it up and hand it back to the cashier. And the cashier would take the sandwich and hand it back to the customer, the first guy in line. That's the entire time. People behind him, the 4 of us, are waiting. He's waiting. People are just waiting in line. Nobody does anything. Just wait, basically. So one at a time, a serial execution, right? One at a time. You don't do anything until it's done. It's kind of like the way our human brain works, right? Single-threaded, one at a time. And but that's not how typically we do things, right? And so Node.js way of doing things, given the same analogy, would be 5 people waiting in line, right? First guy goes up, make his order, right? and he would pay, and then he would wait. Second gate goes up to the cashier, and then he would pay, and he would wait. So so basically the cashier will queue up these people, right? They will take all the orders, and a little index card, write them up and stick them on some kind of queue area so the back cooks can just grab them out of whatever system they have and make the sandwiches. So the thing to remember is this is making your resources more efficient. You're paralyzing your workforce, the available processing unit being the cooks, the people that wrap the sandwich, and obviously the cashier, right? So so let's take that knowledge. Facebook again. So there are millions of Facebook users in the world. Imagine if Facebook were to use a model similar to the first my analogy, the serial execution one, right? So 8 o'clock in the morning, first guy, he decides to post some like huge picture that's 200 megabyte, right? Send it to Facebook, right? So imagine, let's say there's a million users sending comments, whatever, to Facebook. So Facebook literally would have, well, this is an exaggerated example, it will have a computer waiting for this a million requests. And he will literally process one request at a time, take that 200 megabyte download, upload to the Facebook server, right? You would process, put in the Facebook database, and then notify all the users this guy has, that hey, I have a new photo, all that, right? Let's say it takes half a second, pretty fast, but there's a million of them. So if Facebook were to do this, there wouldn't be a million users on Facebook, right? People would get so pissed. So obviously the thing to do would be, again, exaggerated example, buy a million computers, right? Each one taking one request. So there you go. So that is the model of Node.js. It basically takes in all the user input. You send a comment to Facebook. You take a picture on your phone, uploading to Google Drive, right? You at the same time you're receiving text messages, all that, right? So if Node.js were to handle all that, it would queue them up, right? It would queue them up, and Node.js waits on two things: disk access and network. It's really just one thing. So whenever there's a disk access or a network, that in computer terms takes days or years. Do anything. We'll just say, oh, here's a request to go to Instagram and grab this other guy's photo, right? And we'll just say, okay, here's a task. And we'll actually not do it. We'll go to the next one. I will say, okay, here's a request I can process right away. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna grab the CPU in my smartphone or whatever, and I'm gonna start executing that task. And then you're gonna come back to it and say, hey, I know I was waiting on this other request from from the other websites or external factors. Has it arrived? Can I do things? So repeatedly, basically go around in this giant queue and saying, can I do something now? Can I do something now? Can I do something now? Right? I would never wait. That's a good way of living your life, actually. Can I do something now? Never wait. So that's basically it. That's on a very high level. That's why Node.js is so much more efficient. And also it has to do with JavaScript, right? That's kind of the popularity marketing stuff. A lot of people know JavaScript, especially that's why it's so popular with the quote-unquote non-technical people, right? People who are not software engineers by trade, because JavaScript is a language of the web. HTML, CSS is JavaScript, but Node.js is not a front-end technology. I mean, the whole concept of front-end and back-end actually I think it's kind of stupid. For example, my friend just bought a guitar that's $25,000. It took exactly 18 months to make by some guy in Spain, right? If that's your model, do not use Node.js. Node.js is not going to be as performant, because think about it. You're performing one giant unbreakable task, making that guitar, right? That's one thing that's going to take 18 months. There's nothing to paralyze, right? There's one request that's going to no matter how you cut it, it's gonna take 18 months. Don't use Node.js by all means. Use some traditional programming languages, because Node.js again is using JavaScript. Compared to compiled languages, there's another step. It gets interpreted and then gets dynamically compiled, blah blah blah. But not that important. It's just that Node.js is good at something, that is parallelizing a lot of small tasks or even bigger tasks. And the other thing to remember is Node.js is single-threaded. If you don't know what that means, it doesn't matter. You don't have to care then. The other thing I want to talk about is why is Node.js so popular. Now, one thing I mentioned already is JavaScript. The other thing is community, people surrounding Node.js, and why is that? There are other languages and things that are also had a hot start, and why are they? Why didn't they attract people, community, and the support? I think it has a lot to do, number one, with JavaScript. The ease of usability of JavaScript is not typed. You don't need a compiler to do it. You can write some simple JavaScript programs and run it in the browser. And the other thing is it's the npm. npm comes compiled with the binary comes together with Node if you were to install Node.js, and npm essentially is a way for people to contribute to the development of Node.js or add plugins. So I could write some color picker, right, and contribute back to the community at large. Anybody can download it using the same distribution channel, and it's basically built in. So the distribution, kind of like Amazon, the distribution is what makes Amazon so special, and it's also what makes part of a big reason, in my opinion, why Node.js is so popular and so easy to get into. So that's it for me on Node.js.